Hi, I'm Paul. I used to ask if you could hear me now with Verizon, but I switched to Sprint. They changed the game again with unlimited freedom. Unlimited mobile optimized streaming videos, gaming, music, and data for $60 a month. Can you hear that? Visit sprint.com/freedom today.
Coverage and offer not everywhere for discounted phones, subject to credit and $30 activation fee. Excludes taxes, surcharges, roaming, and premium content. Streaming may be mobile optimized with video up to 480p and music up to 500 kilobytes per second. Games limited up to 2 megabytes per second. Prohibited network use rules apply and data deprioritization during congestion. Reliability claim based on third-party data restrictions apply.
So guess what, folks? It's 9 minutes past the hour. I've been talking for the last 9 minutes, and I've been on mute. And if it wasn't for my friend, good friend, Bucko Bruce, who is in the queue to send me a text that is there some technical difficulties. So want to do this once again, give you guys a quick review. This is Late Night Parents, Late Night Parent podcast. Really excited to be here. So many things to get to. A lot of people to thank. Want to first and foremost thank our provider and sponsor, Verizon Fios. And so also we're doing some work now with Verizon Wireless. So I want to thank you guys for supporting not only the podcast, but also supporting the radio show. Ways to get in contact with the show tonight, if you're listening live, it's 347-857-1947. We are live on Blog Talk Radio, the Happy Hour Network. Happy to be here. It was a rough beginning, a rough start to this show, but it's okay. We're here. We're locked and loaded. And oh my goodness, we're locked and loaded. As I mentioned before, you can find us LateNightParents.com. Those of you that are lazy, LNP.TV. Yes, we also bought that domain name, LNP.TV. You can also find us on Twitter. You can find me as The Real Ted Hicks or Late Night Parent, and you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/LateNightParents. Those are primarily the ways to get in contact with us. My special guest tonight is Bucko Bruce, my brother from another mother. Happy to have him back. We're going to bring him on in a minute. He is Bucko Bruce 83 on Twitter and Facebook, across any platform. Just look for Bucko Bruce, and you'll see that mug that's only made for radio. That's a joke he ran on me earlier this week. But a couple of things we want to get into. Want to thank our radio partners. We have the best radio partners in the world, people. UNR One Radio. We air Thursdays at 8. Life Improvement Radio. We air Mondays at 10 a.m. Mile High Radio supports us. We want to thank our newest affiliate. I-95 Sports. As always, Bobby Blackjack. I want to say thank you, bro, for everything that you do and the work that we've been doing together for the last few years, behind the scenes, working on stuff. I want to say a big shout out to my friend, the Underground 9-0, out in Kansas City, Missouri. Yeah, they give us burn out there. We're on 12 p.m. Central Time, Thursdays and Saturdays. You go to the under.us and you look for that gentleman on Twitter, 9.0, and you see his 1 million followers. He has a check mark, blue check mark. He's legit. He's legit, folks. As I mentioned, we have a radio show that's on Saturdays, 7 p.m. Sunday Eastern Time. So after the afternoon football game, but before the Sunday night football game, we're on for 1 hour talking about all different types of issues in the world of technology, education, We do a little product reviews. We talk a little bit of sports, and they all revolve around parenting. So those are some quick ways to get in contact with us, some ways to find the show, all the above. So with that started, and hang on one second. Yeah, with that, I'll get started and think about tonight's guest, my friend Bucko Bruce, who I used to air on Barbershop Sports with. It seems like many moons ago, Bucko and I used to air down the dial. Has it really been a couple of years? Yeah, it really has been a couple of years since we all rocked the mic together, and it was a great time. But this is a different generation now. This is a new time. So, as always, it's great to have Bucko on. Bucko, how you doing?
Man, I'm great. It does seem like just yesterday, but Lord, it has been quite a while since we every Wednesday night did this. But it's good to be back in the seat with you, buddy.
Seriously, Bucko, seriously. It really is good to be back. It gets the juices flowing just to talk with you again. Talk about the pigskin. I'm quick to say this is not a sports show because we talk about so many different issues. And
right,
we talk about some...
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to remind the listeners, they got two great examples of, the how to handle early onset dementia from Ted, and then how to plagiarize people's jokes and just use them, as your own. Two great examples of how to be.
Yes. Yes. I tell you, I got to thank you, Bucko, because I was rambling for the first 9 minutes talking about God knows what. And you just said, are we having, I received a text message, are we having technical difficulties? I'm like, huh? And then I looked because, of course, as in Blog Talk fashion, it wouldn't allow me to dial in. I had to dial in through my cell phone and then through the primary number and through the secondary number dial in through Skype. I mean, yeah. It's just some old habits don't die. It was always a mess when we used to rock the mic on Wednesday nights. Bucko, before we talk about the pigskin, before we talk about how you were schooling me the other night, telling me, giving me a heads up about that young man and that team, the Knowles, FSU, want to ask you about you and your family. How are things going on your end?
Man, actually, they just keep getting either blessed or cursed. I look at it as a blessing, but most people would look at the finding out the shock and awe just yesterday of the fourth child being created.
Whoa!
Just when we were talking about how big the other three are getting, there will be another.
Wow!
I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it because life has blessed me and given me many gifts over the past few years, and I'm in a position to where it does not become a hindrance, but just a great addition to what we already have. So I'm actually excited. Most people with the fourth child would be nervous as all get out, but me, I'm actually excited about it. This might finally be the son I've been waiting for. If it's a fourth daughter, check all the bridges and overpasses for me and talk me down, Ted. Talk me down.
Oh, Bucko.
I hate to blast you with that on radio. I wanted to wait and surprise you live and hear the reaction.
Wow. Bucko, that is some really, really, really great news. So happy for you, your expanding family, and I thank God that it's not me.
Oh,
no,
yeah,
I'm just joking.
No, hey, I wasn't asking for it. I wasn't seeking this. But as you know, as men of faith believe, we don't have any ability to create a child. It comes from a power beyond us. So I accept
Definitely.
the blessing for what it is, and I'm going to move forward. And hopefully everything goes right. Just hoping for healthy and happy, man. That's all I can do. But financially stable, everything's good.
That's some really, really great news. Wow. Did you guys break the news yet to your little ones?
We're gonna wait. I don't think there's any point in telling the children until it's time. We'll sit down and have a conversation. I mean, we told the family, we told the grandparents, the parents, we told everybody that's pertinent. We're not really we're not blasting it on social media. We're not doing backflips excited, but we are okay with it. And honestly, we're both questioning how this happened and trying to go back through the very few times we've had enough alone time in the past month to make this possible. But there was one evening where we caught a babysitter that is so rare, and we were tracing it back to that night. So, not to get too graphic, this is a family show. But we went out and had a good time.
That is great. And I am so, seriously, I am stoked for you. I am stoked because, and truthfully, I'm hoping for you and I'm praying for you that it's a boy. Because, yes, as dads, we love our daughters, but I'm telling you, there's something about having that son. Yeah. That hard-headed, won't listen. You got to tell him 16 times to do the same thing, son. But there's so much joy with it.
Right. Yeah. No. I just hope. Unlike you, mine looks more like her. His mother, versus the spitting image of you that you had mean mugging me at the Liberty game.
Definitely. Oh my goodness. But Michael, that's great. That's great to hear the news about the family. And like I said, we're praying definitely for healthy, happy, another baby boy in the Grigsby household. Really, really excited about that. And, well, I mean, definitely, once this happens, I'm definitely going to have to come back down there. That gives me a reason to come back down to Atlanta and definitely come in and see the fam. And, we got to catch a game, Bucko.
Well, we're a little too late to go to Ted. So we can catch a game in the new SunTrust Park, which, as you're aware, my favorite part of the stadium here at the TED is the Chop House, the bar that's up in right field. Well, yes. I just heard today on a radio announcement that they're continuing the legend of the Chop House and making it better by making it a 3-story venue at the park. So as per usual, will not buy an actual ticket, just standing room only, and go and sit at the bar and watch the game. It's a great experience.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
that is great. Perfect. That's best seat in the house. Best seat in the house at the bar.
You really can't beat it. I mean, you can pay $50 and sit in a seat and have the same view as what you paid $10 for, and have the bar right there. You know what I mean? It's great. Beer and baseball.
That is great. I'm telling you, gotta definitely do it. Loved Atlanta. Loved the hospitality. Loved I'm gonna say not Werner's. What area was I in again?
We were in Smyrna. And we went to Varner's Tavern.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
so
Smyrna is the city where the stadium will be as well. Actually, it's technically Atlanta. It's Cobb County, but the city of the address is Atlanta, but it's right in the Smyrna area, same area we were at.
Cool. So I guess we'll get into, the name of the podcast. I like the name of it. I don't know if you like the name of it. I think you saw your mean mug on my Facebook page. I called it Bucko Bruce Knows Football #2 because the first one we had a lot of traffic, Bucko. You were talking, you were in your element, and people were hitting me up about that podcast. And I kept saying, hey, he's available. But, here's the other side to it. Sometimes, Bucko, I think it's the gift and the curse, as you said earlier. You're good. And you're so good that I wonder if some of these people that have these podcasts and or radio shows are a little intimidated. Because
I don't get any feedback. I don't get any. I mean, I make bold predictions. I'm unapologetic with my statements. They may not be cookie cutter. They may not be politically correct, but I say them in such a way to invite the disagreeers to debate me. I'm always up for a sports debate, as long as you actually know what you're talking about and don't bring just random information. Actually, bring some factual reasons as to why. I would love to debate you. So yeah, I'm available. I'm a free agent for podcasts, for Twitter beefs, whatever you want, man. I don't have a blue check mark. I'm not famous. I think I only have like 700 followers, but you know, I do take pride in my sports. It's you retain information somehow, and people just don't know why. And for some reason, sports and being able to look at a college player and project them to the pros, that's something I've just always been able to do. Maybe if I stop being lazy, I can make something out of it.
Bucko, let's just kick it off right here. So you sent me a text message the other day, and this is before the Ole Miss FSU game. And I got to tell you, for one thing, Bucko, between me doing the podcast, the Baseball, Beer, and Barbecue podcast, and talking with you, I was determined to watch that game. And I said, and I never, because, I'm a Northerner. We for the most part, we don't watch college football. You know, we're like, what do we have up here, Rutgers? I mean, come on.
Who wants to go to Piscataway, New Jersey? Like, ever. Who wants to do that?
I mean, the only time I go past Rutgers is when I'm on the turnpike on I-95 South heading somewhere else. That's the only
or something better.
Right. Something. You told me about, and I want to make sure, I get his first name, I.D.Francois?
I.D.Francois. You got to say it real smooth like that. I.D.Francois.
You said to me in a text message, and the real reason I love about you so much is you didn't put it on Twitter. You just sent me a text message. Ted, watch this tonight. Watch this kid. Watch him, and then come back at me. And I'm going to tell you, I was impressed. The first half, I guess he was feeling his way out, and then there was a coming out party.
Right. Well, no, I think even in the first half he played well. But what didn't happen is no one in front of him blocked anybody. That's what was so impressive. Is that he was still able to move the ball down the field. We couldn't run the ball. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I got the hiccups.
No, it's okay.
We couldn't run the ball at all. No holes open in the running game. You got to give credit to Ole Miss's defensive line. They played a hell of a first half. But we could not block anybody. We couldn't run. And the kid still stood there strong in the pocket, took hit after hit, and delivered some great throws. I'm not comparing him to Jameis Winston. He's not that good. He isn't there. But his arm strength, his toughness, and then his ability to run, I think he can be the next national champion quarterback at Florida State. I said that to several people during the off season. They were telling me we got another young freshman named Malik Henry that was supposed to be this good, but I didn't think he was as good as Francois. And I argue with a lot of Noles fans throughout the spring about this kid, but he exceeded my expectations with the way he played against a very strong SEC defense. So he was even better than I anticipated. I'm happy.
That's perfect. So I guess we're going to get into a little NFL. This is, I like to say this is your strong suit, but you can go college football also. I've watched you, and I've listened to you over the years. You can go either way.
Thank you, sir.
So who would think about it in 2016? I'm saying Bucko goes both ways, and he says thank you to it.
I didn't catch the innuendo. I thought this was a family show, man. It's dirty. There goes that dementia kicking in again. There it goes again.
There you go. So we're gonna go through it. Let's get into it. The last Saturday, we all saw what happened with Teddy Bridgewater, and before we even get into Teddy Bridgewater, you came on the radio show last Sunday. I want to thank you for joining the show. I know it was for a short clip, but it was really more to introduce you, or really introduce the Long Island fans to Bucko Bruce, who I've been raving about all summer long on the Late Night Parent radio show. But so that day, that Saturday, a trade happened with the Vikings and Eagles. And I was going to say, back in the BSS days, we used to say, the ski mask way with the ransom note, that there was a fleecing going on. Tell me, give me your interpretation of the Vikings and Eagles trade that took place with, the first round and fourth round going to the Eagles, and Sam Bradford going to the Vikings. Yay or nay? What's your thoughts on that trade?
Well, obviously, Sam Bradford's not an elite player. So the amount of value that was given up, first round pick and a conditional fourth round pick, a guy who, we don't know if he can ever play a full season. I think he's done it once, and that was his rookie year. And B, when he has played, has not shown you anything that would tell you this is a guy to take me to the Super Bowl. Okay, so I think the Vikings were a team that was desperate. Starting quarterbacks do not grow on trees. We know what Sean Hill is. Hell, he's 38 years old or something like that. He's been in the league forever, and he's still not any good. So we know what Sean Hill is. So they had to do something. But I do think, like I said on the Sunday show, I do think we need to call the FBI or the local authorities or somebody. Howie Roseman needs to be locked up. How he's been able to do stuff he's done, like trading bums like Byron Maxwell to the Eagles and getting them to take that massive contract, how he was able to get a draft pick for that terrible corner Eric Rowe that they were able to get rid of today to the Patriots, how they were able to get a first and a fourth round pick for Sam Bradford, a guy they didn't want there anyway. They just didn't know if they were able to get Wentz. So how this guy was able to pull this stuff off, I do not know. I do have to tip my cap because he robbed 3 different teams this offseason. He's done a hell of a job with that. But you gotta sympathize with the Vikings. They have a complete football team. Every aspect of that team is ready to go, except quarterback now with Teddy's injury. So they had to do something, and I commend them for trying and not just sticking with Sean Hill, because that would have been disastrous. That would have been bad. So that's my take on it.
But Bucko, and there is a shelf life for Adrian Peterson. He's built to win now. Right.
I mean, Adrian Peterson's not going to come again. Or, Ezekiel Elliott might be the next Adrian Peterson. But Adrian Peterson is a generational running back. Once every generation, we get a guy like that. So, yeah, that window is not very big in the NFL, as you know. It's not very big. You thought you had one with the Jets, which I told you the whole time it was a facade, but you don't want to believe me. But, that window is not very big. It's not. So you got to act now. But Sam Bradford's not a guy that's going to lead him there either. So I just truly feel bad for Teddy.
Hey, so from what I'm hearing about Teddy, also that there was concern whether or not he was going to lose the leg. There was concern whether or not. No, there wasn't.
There was no concern with that. Initially, they were concerned because when you completely dislocate the knee and you completely tear everything like that, there's a lot of nerves and arteries at the back of the knee. And when you completely dislodge it like that, you can rupture an artery or a nerve. So that's why they had to get an ambulance and get him rushed to the hospital for immediate surgery. But none of that actually happened. It didn't actually happen. They were just worried that it could happen. So no, he's fine. There's no nerve or artery damage. It's just all structural. They can repair that knee and make it as good as new. It's probably going to take him longer than a year to come back. So he might miss part of next season as well.
Bucko, we gotta, yes, we're gonna talk football, but we gotta talk the business behind football. Today, Roger Goodell made his statement that he really, he kind of sounded like fork tongue because he was talking out of both sides of his mouth. He said, yes, he supports what the NFL players do, their individualism, but he does not support Colin Kaepernick's stance. Currently, right now, Colin Kaepernick, his jersey, I think, top 5 jersey sales in the league.
Right.
Tell me, regardless of your thoughts about your stance on Colin Kaepernick, do you feel athletes should use their fame to speak out on social issues?
I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword, Ted. I mean, if there really is something that needs to be spoken on regarding the state of society, and frankly, Ted, police violence against young black men, and especially really all people, but specifically young black men in the urban community, it is something that needs to be addressed, especially with the lack of, judicial help. So for people just to speak out, raise awareness, and understand that we won't stand for this type of injustice, that it is commendable, Ted. It very much is commendable. However, me personally disagreeing with turning your back on the flag that provides you, the ability to have that freedom to make that protest, it's kind of a double-edged sword on both ends.
Okay.
I'm very patriotic, but I'm also very aware of what our society is. We're flawed. We're kind of messed up. We're not as bad as, say, Russia or something like that, but we're pretty bad. And things need to happen. Things need to change. And I will give Kaepernick credit for two things. A, all of those jersey sale proceeds are going to inter-community help. That is, instead of just saying something and not standing up for the pledge, you're actually doing something. I commend that. And B, not backtracking and issuing some half-hearted bullcrap apology and actually sticking to your guns and continuing to take the conversation further, calling out our political candidates for what they are. I mean, I am giving him credit for at least having, some testicular fortitude, if I can say that, if that's the politically correct thing to say.
Yes, you
can. Stick to your guns, mean what you say what you mean, stand up with your chest out. I commend you for doing that. I still cannot ever be okay, because I love my country. I love the freedoms that I have. I too, came through impoverished environment. I have seen crazy things with police. I have seen it. I can't claim to be a black man and say I can walk in your shoes and see what you see, but I can't ever agree with anyone turning their back on my flag and my country. Not if you're from here. That's disgraceful. But I'm not getting into that because the message is still needs to be talked about, and I'm okay with it, if that makes sense. I'm okay with something being done. I just wish it was something other than disrespecting the flag. That's
so here's where I'm going to throw it. Because like I said, this is the business behind it, and you and I, we talk frankly, we're very candid. We say what we feel and how we feel it, and I'm going to say this. Is it a double standard? Yes, it's a double standard. Something I said on Baseball, Beer, and Barbecue last Saturday was, you thumb your nose, not per se you, Bucko, but America thumbs their nose at Colin Kaepernick. But 40 to 45 days ago, that same person or that same entity was applauding LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, and Dwayne Wade at the ESPYs when they stood up at the beginning of the show to make their statements about what's happening. Now, the messages itself, like the goal is the same. I guess it's just the approach was different because, taken the wrong way, they hijacked the ESPYs. I don't know your feel or your take on that.
No, I felt just like the message they're trying to send, the act itself, the protest, the act, the bringing awareness to is a necessity. I commend and stand by those efforts. It's like I said a second ago. It's doing something while not disrespecting. Right. Does that make sense what I'm saying? This country is flawed. This country is flawed. The Pledge of Allegiance was written by a guy who had slaves. I know all the hypocrisy behind it. I get it. I understand it. But in order to grow and move forward, there are people that sacrifice themselves for this country, for that flag, for that Pledge of Allegiance, so you have the right to stand up and say what you want to say or sit down and do what you want to do. LeBron and them did it the right way because they didn't respect the country. That's where the uproar is. Now, there's a lot of stupid, bigot white people that are going retarded about this. That's not right either. You're the problem too. Okay, just shut up, understand what's going on, and let go of some of your butt hurt and try to understand it. That's the only thing that's going to happen.
Gotcha. Last thing I will say on this, and I've said this on 2 or 3 different instances. Anytime you protest, you're going to cause a disruption. So for all those people that feel, well, he could do this, but he shouldn't do this at this time, maybe they're true. But I'm saying any protest, if you think about it, remember back 2, 3, 4 years ago, Occupy Wall Street, and people were laying down in the streets, on the highways, in front of the Apple store, anything that you felt like you liked to do or you needed to do or like you needed to commute to work, those people all over the world were pissed off. They were pissed off against one right, and it was an inconvenience, and they were pissed off against the 1%ers. So I'm just saying, when stuff like this happens, it's going to cause a disruption, and it has.
Right, but that's its intent, Ted. With disruption comes conversation. So you have to make people uncomfortable. You have to. You know what I mean? But again, time and place. Like if you're that big of a jerk to come into your protest during rush hour traffic when people are trying to get home to their children, then you're just being a jerk. Okay.
Right.
But if you do it and make your point and cause a distraction, cause a disruption, then you've achieved your goal. If you don't want to achieve your goal and mess up someone's everyday life who has nothing to do with it to achieve your goal, that's just wrong. No,
you're right. I know it's a touchy topic. They're talking about it all over America. The news cycle is continuing to spin, and it's going to spin on Monday night because guess what? 49ers play on Monday Night Football.
Mm-hmm.
So
there have been other players that have talked about. I think there's a couple of Seahawks and a couple other players that have talked about joining with that. Just, I guess, to kind of stand with Kaepernick's message.
Right.
But it's going to rub people the wrong way, which, hey, killing teenage black kids that don't have a gun is rubbing people the wrong way too.
Bucko, I know it's one of those situations where you're sitting here saying, okay, you got, and I've done shows. It's so funny, and I know we're going to get back to football, but with you, I like talking about these issues with you because you're so intelligent and you get it, you understand. The fact that back in September of 2014, one of the first LateNightParent podcasts I ever did was I had with a retired detective and law professor, and the topic was the do's and don'ts when dealing with law enforcement. And here was someone that was, retired New York Police Department detective, 25 years on the force, to become a law professor, and he basically told me about the conversation he had with his son when his son started driving. And he said, okay, you're at that age now. I need to have this conversation with you. It's just insane that we have to have this conversation with our kids.
Yeah.
And I think regardless, white, black, brown, red, you do need to have some type of conversation like this because we're in that environment right now, Bucko. I mean, and it's not, I mean, yes, young black men are being shot. I'm just saying, I think you need to have that conversation across the board because the way policing or the way community policing existed 20, 30 years ago, it don't exist that way today.
Right. No, we can debate the right and wrong of a lot of things wrong with society. But as parents, as people, as strong-minded people, just trying to make it, man. We're just trying to give our kids a better life than we had. Which is going to be hard for you. You had a great life. You you made it. You know, no, the situation is this: it's not good, it's not right that we have to, but understanding that you have to, and doing what you have to do regardless whether it's right or wrong. That's what's important. Teach your kids that, hey, no one cares how sensitive you are. No one cares what color you are. You know, you're going to come across prejudices. You're going to come across people trying to put you down. You're going to come across naysayers. It's the ability to keep your head down and keep moving forward and just deal with the problems as they come and knowing what to do in certain situations. That's what's going to keep you around, keep you alive. So I preach that message to my daughters. I have to tell my 10-year-old daughter about why not to wear certain type of clothing, because there are sick people in this world. You know, she asked, why can she not have Facebook because her friend has Facebook? I said, because I'm a good parent. You're not going to be in social media at 10 years old. It's not going to happen.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
So that's what that is.
You know, and Bucko, you know, I think very highly of you, and I commend you on all that you do, because I know you're someone that has your heart on your sleeve, and you care very dearly for your kids. And I think it's smart to sit there and say, hey, you know what, darling, I love you, and you're not going to have social media now, and you're not going to have this. And yes, we're going to roll this out in a phased approach, but you're just not ready right now because there's too much evil out there. Bucko, we're going to get back on. It's always good to talk social issues with you. So tell me, what has been the biggest or the two biggest to you off-season stories this year, not named Kaepernick or Romo?
Well, you took the two biggest issues away, and then you're going to ask me the two biggest issues. I mean, good night, Private. I mean, really, there's been quite a few. I mean, one of the most shocking to me is St. Louis Rams giving up their future on a team that's really not that good, first of all, and going up and trading everything for the number one pick to draft a quarterback that is not good. I've said time and time again, Jared Goff's not a good quarterback. He should not be the number one overall pick. Rams trade up there and go and get him just to have him be a healthy, inactive player for week one. That is probably the dumbest thing I've seen in a long time. That is pretty bad. And then just, I mean, honestly, outside of the other two and that, I mean, that's what I had. That's what I had here to talk about was Kaepernick, Romo, and the Rams. Those are the biggest shocks of the offseason. Other than that, everything's pretty much been really quiet. We don't have any domestic violence issues. You know, well, there is two things I wanted to talk on. I know it wasn't discussed with us as far as our conversation, but I wanted to put out there the light of there's a lot of false accusations that have happened in the history of, you know, famous athletes being wrongly accused. And now something's starting to happen about it. You see, Ezekiel Elliott was accused of, you know, domestic violence. Now they found the holes in her story, and they're now pressing charges against her. And the Jameis Winston thing, the lady tried to have a civil suit against him. The court threw it out, and now he's suing her for $7 million for defamation and loss of potential wages. So the fact that the system is turning around, and, you know, maybe we can put an end to these false accusations, and maybe we can have some good stuff happen. It's been a good offseason as far as that goes.
Hey, so you did mention something about Jared Goff. You know, Goff, he is inactive for week one. I mean, you kind of led into, did the Rams blow the pick, or are they just handling the rookie correctly? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, the Rams, I think, are a terrible organization. Jeff Fisher should not be a coach in this league. And Les Snead has had probably the worst drafts of any GM that still has a job. I mean, they traded that number 2 pick to Washington for Robert Griffin for all of these draft picks and only hit on one of them. You know, Aaron Donald was the only one that they got that was worth anything. I mean, they really crapped the bed with what they tried to do building this team. Granted, I think they hit a home run with Todd Gurley, but that's not enough. So you're going to trade up your future to build a team around Gurley to get a quarterback that's never going to be good in this league. Just bad evaluation, bad handling of everything. But I am in favor of a team playing a rookie quarterback if the rookie quarterback is worth it. Like Carson Wentz, Philly believes he's ready. Put him out there it's not going to be a winning season for you. Let the kid get his lumps. Let him figure out the game. Then next year we can start going forward. Bucs did it with James. Tennessee did it with Mariota. There is no problem with drafting a quarterback high and starting them immediately, as long as you know how to properly evaluate the quarterback. If the quarterback's not that good, don't take him that early, and don't put him in the game. It's that simple. Teddy, I think you hit the mute button again. Hello.
And you are correct. I tried to hit the mute button to make sure it was clear and crisp for you to give that answer. And of course, I start talking. And what happens? I'm sitting there talking. And you said, "Ted, I think you hit the mute button." I think you're right. That CTE is kicking in. It's really kicking in.
Did you play football?
I didn't.
Did you have blunt force trauma? I mean, good Lord.
I mean, this is a family show, and I will not comment on how many times my wife has taken a pot up against my head. No, I'm just joking. So tell me about this. Do you think too many teams are rushing, just rushing these rookie quarterbacks into action? I mean, Wentz is the number one quarterback, and he's going on Sunday. Is he ready?
Yeah. Well, Philly agrees with me that Sam Bradford is not the answer. Honestly, if you handle the rookie appropriately, you implement your offense, gradually, and if they show a competence, if they show an understanding of your game plan, and they're able to execute it in practice, and you don't really have a better option that would lead you to more wins this season, yeah, throw that rookie out there, man. Let him get his lumps. Let him learn. So, no, there's no such thing as rushing a player that's ready. There's no better teacher than game experience. You can practice. You can simulate all you want to. Until you're out there under live bullets, you really don't know what you have in a guy. And if you're going to risk what they have risked to trade up to number 2 to draft him, you better see what you got. You want immediate return on that type of investment. You're not going to drop. You're not going to go and buy 150 shares or something that's going to have a 3-year turnover on your return money. Come on, let's be logical here.
So, Bucko, staying on rookies at all positions, who are a few that you think have the biggest impact?
Obviously, Ezekiel Elliott. He's going to come in, day one as a starter. I really like the second-round pick of the Bengals, Tyler Boyd, the receiver over there out of Pittsburgh. He's going to get instant looks. He's going to get targets right away opposite A.J. Green. I think he has a big year to be as big a homer as possible. Vernon Hargraves III, rookie corner for the Bucs. He has looked stellar in preseason, and he was very good in college at the University of Florida. So I think he might be up there with the Defensive Rookie of the Year candidates as well. But, those would be my top 3 rookies right now. And
so let's get into it. What teams do you see as being the biggest disappointments this upcoming season?
The aforementioned Colin Kaepernick San Francisco 49ers, I think, will probably be the worst team in the league. They're on the clock right now. The Rams, God bless it, that Hard Knocks has been the worst of any of the Hard Knocks series. They might cancel the whole dang show after how bad this has been. And that team itself is laughable. So I think those two, it's funny they're in the same division, but I think those two will be huge disappointments. I think that Cleveland's not ready. They won't be very good. Tennessee Titans, I think, will still – I think they'll set a record for being the first team to have a top 5 pick 3 years in a row. That's where I'm at with it as far as the disappointing side.
And just the opposite, what teams do you see is making the biggest jumps this upcoming season?
Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville has a shot at the division. I really, really like what they've put together. I mean, with that many top 5 picks on the defense, they have to get better. I think Blake Bortles, in his third year, comes into his own. I mean, the guy threw for 4,000 yards and 35 touchdowns last year. I mean, it's kind of hard to improve on that, but I think that with having some semblance of a running game with Chris Ivory, they'll be able to cut down on, having to throw the ball so much, and that'll eliminate his turnovers. So I like Jacksonville, and, you can call me a homer all you want. You guys can blast me on social media, but I do think this is the year Tampa Bay makes the quantum leap into the playoffs. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
So week 1, I mean, it starts on Thursday night football.
Tomorrow.
Week 1 standouts that what are the games or standouts as must-sees for you?
I need to see how Carolina responds to the proverbial Super Bowl hangover. There's not very many teams that have gone to Super Bowl and lost it that have bounced back and had a good year following. They lose Josh Norman. They lose a couple other key pieces. Jonathan Stewart's another year older. And, it's really how does Cam Newton handle having a target on his back? There were no expectations for Carolina last year. There wasn't anybody in the right mind picking them to be in the Super Bowl. And they made it there, went 15-1. I mean, they had a great year. So with now a target on their back and the pressure on them to repeat that success, can they do it? That's what I think I want to watch for. How do they look tight? Are they pressing? Is that offense as fluid as it was last year? Are they able to get as many turnovers as they did last year? I don't think they will, but only tomorrow night will tell.
That is true. So I want to stop for a second and ask you this. I mean, yes, I know you're located in Georgia, and yes, we know you love your Florida teams, football teams. But so tell me, from your perspective, not being here in the Northeast, all of this back and forth with Josh Norman and Odell Beckham Jr., is that good for ratings? Is that good for football? Or would you want these guys to just, like, if you were their ball coach, what would you be telling them?
Well, just leave it on the field. I mean, I really don't have a problem with players not liking each other. I mean, back in my day, when sports were great and competition was all that mattered, and you hated other players, like the way that New York Knicks players hated Reggie Miller and wanted to cause him physical pain. The way that people hated each other kind of made sports better. Like they gave a little bit more effort to try to, stop that particular player. Now, let's be honest, before Odell Beckham lost his head in that game, before they got to him, he was roasting Josh Norman. I mean,
he was.
Josh Norman couldn't hold him. So I don't know why he keeps trying to call him out. He's an okay corner. He's good in the cover 3 zone system. He's not a man-on-man corner. He better watch his mouth because he does not have the front 7 he had in Carolina in front of him. And if he gets on that island alone, Odell Beckham, he's going to destroy him. So, me personally, I am okay with players talking trash back and forth, but I do think with that particular guy, with Josh Norman, he's a couple sandwiches short of a picnic basket if you do it. I don't think he's all there. So I'm interested to see how it plays out because he goes against some of the toughest wide receivers in this league. He plays Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham twice, Dez Bryant twice.
Right.
Let's really see what the kid's made of. You know what I mean? I don't anticipate it working out that well for him. But let's check it out.
It's just so funny listening to both of them or reading their comments on social media, and Odell was like, hey, he should be thanking me because I got that boy paid. And it's just so funny. So funny. But I will tell you, I was watching that game last year, Panthers-Giants, and if Odell did not miss that first bomb in the first quarter, I think none of that would have happened.
Yeah. It's a different football game.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Because like you said, he was scorching them.
Yeah.
I got a topic that, we usually don't like to get to, but we are going to get to. What coaches do you think are on the hot seat this season?
Well, I know one that should be. If he isn't, then that just speaks to how stupid the organization is, and that's Jeff Fisher. The guy is the epitome. He's the exact example of average. And to my understanding, settling for mediocrity is not the NFL way. Hell, look at the Bucs. Look how many coaches we fired in the past 4 years. I mean, come on. It's settling for just being okay is never a good way to be. And Jeff Fisher has never been good. I mean, he had 2 Hall of Famers, if not 3 Hall of Famers. He had 3 Hall of Famers on one team. And I think he won 4 playoff games with that Tennessee team. So, I mean, you say what you want about the guy. He's been around forever, but he's not a good coach. He should be on the hot seat. I think Rex Ryan over there in Buffalo, if he does not have success this year, I think he'll be fired after 2 years. Because you bring that much media attention, you make all these drastic moves to the roster to not have, success and turnover. I think Rex Ryan should be on the hot seat. But the only other one I can see is the Atlanta Falcons staff. Kyle Shanahan and Dan Quinn really have their hands full. I don't think they're going to be a good team at all. I think those 3 coaches will be, the first to go if any get fired.
It was so funny that, Rex Ryan's first season with the Buffalo Bills was last year. And just already here, I heard at the end of last year he was on the hot seat. And I said, how could you be on the hot seat after 16 games? But I guess, if you ran your mouth as much as Rex Ryan did, that's kind of the answer. But you think about Atlanta's coaches also, though, Atlanta's coaching staff is also on the hot seat? Isn't that quick or maybe
when you have a $100 million quarterback, a $100 million wide receiver, brand new stadium, an owner that's used to success, the Home Depot deal, the success Arthur Blank has had as a business person, he's not going to sit around and accept the mediocrity. I mean, they started off 5-0 and then finished 8-8. And I don't, just me talking not as a fan, not as a division rival of theirs, I don't see a 500 football team. I think they're worse than 500 this year. So I think, you bring in a coach, you bring in an offensive coordinator with that much payroll, that much expectation, brand new stadium, and you wet the bed with it, I think they'll be quick to go.
Gotcha. So Todd Gurley, we're going to stick with the Rams. Todd Gurley said nobody wants to carry the ball 30 times a game. Is there anything to worry about, or is he just being smart?
No, there's nothing to worry about with that. I mean, he's looking at the situation of his football team, and he's looking at what his coach of his team did to Eddie George. Eddie George was great coming out of college, All-American, All-Pro in the league. And he only played 9 years because the man averaged about 25 to 30 carries a game. And in this NFL, in this day, the concussion awareness, the health awareness, the taking care of their body that the players are doing. When you look at the quarterbacks who are playing into their 40s now, it's all about protecting your brand, protecting your asset, which is your body. So no one should want to go in there and be a battering ram, no pun intended, and carry the ball 30 times on a bad team. No one wants to do that. He's absolutely accurate, and I think it should be said. That way, when Jeff Fisher gives him the ball 35 times, hey, he said that he didn't want to do it. And they should get Jeff Fisher gone.
I just think, just think with me for a minute and think about how many running backs the Kansas City Chiefs have run through over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And they've had a lot of good ones, but like you said, heavy rotation, heavy usage, and they're in and out of the league. Never to be heard from again.
There are 2 guys in particular. They were both on the Ravens at the same time, which is ironic, but Jamal Lewis of the Ravens and why did I just lose his name? Priest Holmes. Priest Holmes and Jamal Lewis. Both 2,000-yard rushers. After those seasons where they carried the ball 400 times and got 2,000 yards, their careers were never the same. So there is something to be said about when you give a running back that many carries. Ricky Williams faded off when he set the record. When Jamal Anderson for the Falcons back in the late 90s set the record for the most carries, he was never heard from again. So it's smart to bring awareness to the running back plight and how quick their career is already. It'll help them prolong it a little bit.
So some kickers have said we'll see a lot of mortar kicks with a lot of hang time in response to the touchback move to the 25-yard line. How do you see this playing out?
I don't see it working out well. I don't. I see the NFL trying to do the right thing, trying to eliminate those collisions. That is where most of the violent head-neck area collisions happen. However, as a football coach, as a game strategist, that gives you an ability to get people inside the 20 versus giving it to them at the 25. You're going to take whatever competitive advantage you can find. So to give the league credit for trying to do something is one thing, but to sit there and say a team is not going to try to do something that better and increases their chances of winning that field position battle, that's just ludicrous if you don't expect that to happen. So I think there will be less touchbacks. I think there will be more of those motor kicks. It's just all about, game planning and strategy of, blocking properly and being in proper position to not allow the injury. That's really all you can do.
Bucko, who's your dark horse team this year?
Dark horse team. I hate to be a broken record here, but Jacksonville and Tampa Bay. Nobody expects them to be in the playoffs. I'm going to be the only one you're going to hear having them both in the playoffs. Guarantee that.
The only team I will talk about tonight specifically, and no, it's not my beloved Jets. What's your thoughts on the Oakland Raiders?
I like Oakland. I think they're going the right direction. Khalil Mack's probably one of the best pass rushers in the league. I'm not sold on Latavius Murray. I'm not sold on Derek Carr. But if Derek Carr does it again, if he is, good this year, and Amari Cooper gets better and stops dropping the football, I can see them next year with a couple more pieces being a legitimate team. But they're still behind the Raiders. They're still behind the Broncos, in my opinion, as far as a total depth of team. I don't think this is the year for them, but they are, for the first time in 14 years, going in the right direction.
Bucko, who's your playoff teams?
The AFC, I got Pittsburgh, Kansas City, New England, Houston, Cincinnati, and Jacksonville are the wild card teams. And the NFC, I got Green Bay, Seattle, Carolina, the New York Football Giants, and Arizona and Tampa Bay as the wild card teams.
Bucko, who wins the big game? Who goes to the big game and who wins?
I got Super Bowl Green Bay, Pittsburgh.
Whoa.
With Aaron Rodgers getting his second title.
Whoa. Okay. I can go for that.
A lot of people want to say Seattle. A lot of people want to pick Arizona. So I'm going a different way with it.
A question that doesn't mean anything to me. Does the Pro Bowl in its current state survive, or do you see them continuing to tinker with it?
Well, I think it'll continue to be tweaked, but yet it will, as an entity, survive. You have to find a way to reward the players. You have to find a way to have that venue for the players. Every sport has an all-star game. It will continue to be tinkered with. Changes will be made to it the week before the Super Bowl is stupid, because obviously the two best teams in the league are going to have some players on the Pro Bowl team. So something needs to be done there. But the players that make it receive that extra paycheck, receive that vacation, elsewhere. It needs to be around. It just needs to be done better. It needs to be after the Super Bowl like it was, back in Hawaii like it was. Just and done a little bit better.
Bucko, we're going to go into some parting shots. We want to thank you for coming on the Late Night Parent Podcast. Best ways to get in contact with you. I mentioned your Twitter handle at the onset of the show, but I want you to mention it.
Yeah, so the Twitter and Facebook are the same. Just Bucko Bruce 83, no spaces. Very accessible.
Perfect. Bucko, I want to thank you for joining us. During the football season, you graciously accepted to join our Sunday night shows to give your football czar emphasis as the season progresses. I don't think my PR team and your PR team has talked about whether it's going to be a weekly spot. We would love you for a weekly spot, but we understand life does get in the way of things. So you let me know how often you want to come on Sunday night at 7 o'clock. If and when you are ready, your time is 7:45. That's 4:45 Pacific time for you to come on, talk about the pigskin, maybe talk about the upcoming Sunday night football game. However you want to do it, you are always welcome. You are family in my eyes.
Absolutely. And anytime the great Teddy Two Team summons, I shall come running, sir. I got your back.
You got it. Love you, brother. Thanks so much, all right?
All right, man. We'll talk soon. Thanks a lot.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.